Hey everybody, welcome back to Pork Lift Certified. We got a couple of hard hogs here. I'm Evan.
Jack.
Yeah, we're getting better at introductions, even though this gets cut out of the episode every time. As a reminder from last week, if you pity us enough, you can be our first subscriber. We'll give you a shout
every
out.
video after you.
Yes, actually, I would be down to do that for a week.
I definitely would.
Oh, undoubtedly. But if you are our first subscriber, we're having a pledge drive right now to pledge to at least think about subscribing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do that, then you'll get an imaginary fanny pack.
They should add a button for that.
They should add a
thinking
button
about it
for consideration of
Click the "I'm thinking about it" button if you're thinking about it.
Let me talk to my uncle that works at YouTube. I think his name is Franklin YouTube.
Franklin Tube.
That's a bad one. What are we talking about today, Mr. Jack?
NFC West off-season overviews. What's changed? What's the same? Where can you find an edge by knowing things that other people don't?
Who are those hogs you got to saddle throughout the season? Let's get started with those Arizona Cardinals.
Arizona Cardinals, last place in the division, 4 wins, 13 losses. This was a trash year. As much of a tank year as you could have. I don't really think NFL teams tank, but going into last year for the Cardinals, Kyler Murray was going to miss the first few months. Not many great receiving options on this team. I don't think they were expecting playoffs, and they didn't get close.
No, they didn't. Didn't seem like they even wanted to. Did you go through the stats? Because I kind of blanked out there for a second.
No, I did not.
They were 4th in rushing yards.
Yeah.
That's the big one.
Is a running quarterback, but he also didn't play all the time. But
exactly,
they can run the ball. They were 26th in passing
yards.
With me. 24th in points scored. So they could rush a lot, but they could not get into the end zone. And Josh Dobbs could not throw the ball and was traded mid-year.
And it was funny.
It was bald.
It was bald.
So,
no coaching changes, correct?
No, not really any spot to find an edge here. They're in their second season. That's John Gannon and Drew Petzig as head coach and offensive coordinator.
Yes. Moving on to those trenches, that outline that was so bad.
Very bad last year. So I don't think I've tried to hide this at all. I get these offensive line ranks from Player Profiler. They just had an end of season ranking. And the Cardinals were in their own tier, just above quarterback killer tier. So not good, but there's definitely worse options. They have drafted some offensive linemen, 3rd rounder, a 5th rounder. They've signed some players to fill out depth. We can expect some improvement here, but I'm not really not expecting anything amazing from this line.
No, it's pretty incredible if the line can be that bad and they can still have so many rushing yards. But like you said, they didn't score points, so that's not ideal for an NFL team.
When a team is this bad, I'll kind of just throw away a little bit of the analysis and give them that extra edge of, like, they were horrible. They'll get better.
Starting with the QB Kyler Murray, he is currently ranked ECR. That means
expert consensus rankings. We don't have our own rankings yet. We're just pulling rankings from the fantasy community.
Indeed. Currently ranked at 9 on those expert consensus rankings.
It's too low. He's
too
good.
Low, I think, actually.
He's good.
I think he is. I think he is very. I mean, obviously, running, passing quarterback. Even if he's running for his life, obviously,
those yards
that
count.
Offensive line.
Those yards count. They don't have any sort of qualifier to see it. Was the quarterback scared when he was running? They just count him. If he's scared, it still works.
something I would like to add to the NFL lexicon, you know how we said Daniel Jones rumbles, or if you see an offensive lineman that accidentally picks up the ball, he rumbles down the field.
Yeah, yeah.
Kyler Murray skedaddles.
He's just a little skedaddler.
Yeah, it's like, as many people have said, it's like, you know, when a toddler is running from their parents, or I would, you know, like to put out there a Looney Tunes character.
Yeah.
That's skedaddles.
Today, my toddler said, I'm going to show you my super speed, and then she ran into the wall. So that's
Just like Kyler Murray.
That's Kyler Murray.
Yeah. But yeah, this is a very good QB. That really, really improved wide receiver core. He's going to be starting, you know, he's going to be here at least at the start of the season, because that's what it was last year, right? They had Dobbs for the beginning, or did he
Dobbs was the beginning of the season. Yeah,
Yes,
Kyler,
that's right.
we knew going into last season, Kyler would not be starting for the first couple months.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But this is a wide receiver core that looks a lot better.
way better. Yeah. So we'll cover that as we get into the wide receivers, but a little bit more talking about Kyler Murray. I don't like to double ding an injury guy. You know, he was hurt and then came back and is still recovering. He's able to play the position, but still recovering. So I don't like to look at the stats from last year and say, well, let's take that and project it forward for the rest of this year. We've seen him be very good. The only reason I talk about him so much is because he's ranked at 9, and I would take him over other running quarterbacks such as like Anthony Richardson, who we bring up a lot, who's going at 6. Like, Kyler has done it and has a lot of that same skill set of running to get those yards.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we do a quick pick your pig? Can you pull up where Kyler is ECR 9 compared to other folks? I think this is somebody that I didn't really want to mess with last year because of the injury situation, but somebody I would be so ecstatic to have, because we are in a 2 QB league also. So that's just, there's a lot of good QBs out there.
1 QB league. So we pulled up the rankings here. Would you rather have Kyler Murray or Brock Purdy?
Kyler all day.
Sure.
Easily.
Same question, Jordan Love.
Kyler all day.
Dak Prescott, who threw a lot of touchdowns last year.
He did throw a lot of touchdowns. I would still take Kyler, I think, over that.
All right.
I would be happy to roll those dice.
Joe Burrow, who's out at rank 7th.
I think you could make an argument to take Kyler over Burrow, because
I could see
Burrow
it.
usually starts the season pretty slow anyways. I have faith in Kyler to at least run well.
Let's go trickier one. CJ Stroud, not a big runner, had a good rookie season with touchdowns. Sometimes that gets better for a second-year quarterback. Sometimes there's a sophomore slump. CJ Stroud is at QB 5. Would you take Stroud or Murray?
I think I would take Murray. Would you also take Murray? Because I also kind of believe in the sophomore slump, and I know Murray consistently puts out numbers.
I will for sure end up with Kyler Murray way more often than CJ Stroud, because I don't want to pay that Stroud price. I might even just stat out Murray to have a better year.
Yeah, I could see that, just because of the running, and with a receiver core, whatever. Let's jump into the running backs here. James Conner is their number 1 guy. ECR rank currently at 21.
Yes. I don't have his
say
age, but he is extra old.
Yeah.
Let's pull this up. I mentioned
the other.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. The other options are Trey Benson. He was a round 3 rookie. Is that what you have here?
Top of the round 3, which is why I mentioned James Conner's age, because James Conner is 29. We expect that this will be a transitioning year from James Conner to Trey Benson. I don't know how that's going to shake out so far. James Conner was the incumbent when this head coaching staff came in, when this offensive staff came in. He's aging out. I think I would expect him to be in the last year of his contract, or have a cut year after this, or like a cut potential after this year. But whoever's getting the most carries, I think is going to be a value for you. If Conner is the lead guy at 21st running back taken overall, he's outperformed that pretty regularly.
Yeah. It's just, you might have to worry about injuries, but we You don't usually like to talk about that, I will say. I do talk about it too much.
I don't like to predict that someone will get injured and then make my analysis off of that. Although James
That's
Conner
fair.
is maybe one of those guys that I might, because he has missed 3 to 5 games a year going back forever. It feels like might not actually be true, which is kind of why I don't mess around with talking a ton about injuries, because you start to think stuff happened when it didn't. But
Anything else to wrap up the running back corner?
no, they're both probably good values where they're going. If Trey Benson, if James Conner misses time, Trey Benson moves up into a top 24 guy easily. This offense can run. I think this offense just couldn't score points last year. I think that'll get better. Some of that's going to go to running backs.
Yeah. So let's jump into the wide receiver position. Biggest name on this list, of course, Marvin Harrison Jr. He is currently ranked ECR at 11, which
highest rated rookie receiver prospect in a while.
Yeah.
Second overall pick, is that right? No, third.
No. Third
or fourth? Fourth.
Wow, you keep talking, I'll look it up.
I think it's important. It doesn't really matter. It's the highest a receiver has been drafted in a long time. You're holding up the number 4. He's going to be we're expecting a very good career from him. ECR 11 seems a little bit early for someone that we haven't seen do it.
Yeah.
We've seen wide receivers get drafted in the top 10 and not pan out at all.
Mm-hmm.
My heart doesn't think that's what's going to happen, but I don't know that I'm going to buy him a lot at 11.
Yeah, exactly. I think that he is going to be a very good player at some point, but I think he works really well as bait this year if you were in an auction-style league.
Yeah.
Or if you just have an active group chat, you can just keep talking him up and see if somebody takes him higher than you want to and get somebody with some more consistency. Like he's ranked here around Brandon Ayuk, which, sans any contract things or the possibility. Wasn't there talks about him being traded or something?
Yeah, we'll
know.
talk about that more later when we cover the 49ers.
Or Chris Olave, who we've already seen do well. Mike Evans, who's the best push-off in the league.
Doesn't the best push-off.
I think Marvin Harrison's great bait this year, and then definitely somebody in year 2 that I will be trying to get a lot.
For fantasy at wide receiver, he's really the only guy we're giving a lot of consideration to. Zay Jones is a good NFL receiver. Mike Wilson in his second year may grow into something, but in the draft, the only person that I'm really looking at that you would need to strategize your draft around is Marvin Harrison. And it's kind of just how high do you want to take him? Because you're going to have to take him high if you are targeting him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You want to say anything about Mike Wilson, Zay Jones? I think this is a good wide receiver room for them.
No, nothing more than I already have.
Yeah, exactly. Tight end position, Trey McBride, ECR number 4.
Yeah, I've seen people rank him as tight end 1. I prefer him closer to 4. I just don't want to assume that he's going to hit the same production that he did over the back half of last season. Last season, they started with Zach Ertz as their main tight end and traded him midway throughout the year. We're also looking at stats of Kyler coming back for some of that time, other quarterbacks for other parts of that time. There's new receiving options in the offense. I feel safer taking him at 4. At tight end 5 is George Kittle right now, and I would probably take him ahead of George Kittle.
Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure. Jack, who's your prize pig on the Arizona Cardinals?
It's probably got to be Kyler, with how long we spent talking about Kyler.
Yeah.
Or Trey Benson, just grabbing him at 38 and hoping that things break the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a blue-collar hog on this team? I feel like Kyler's...
It's got to be James Conner. He's just the locked and loaded running back 2. If things stay the same as they were last year, you're just going to get points every week at that position.
Yeah, absolutely. I
can
definitely see that.
I don't know how it'll shake out, But
Yeah, I think this will be interesting to see if they can put up those kind of rushing yards again and actually start to put points on the board, which I think they definitely can and will now that they have more of a wide receiver room than just D-Hop, who I think was, what was it, 78 years old last year? Is that right?
last year was Marquise Hollywood Brown was on the team.
Oh, that's right. Was
Some.
it 2 years ago they had D-Hop?
Yeah, 2 years
DeAndre
ago.
Hopkins? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, actually, we should probably cover that because we normally say, like, hey, who was hurt? How did that affect the team? Last year when Kyler was playing, he did not have a lot of overlap with Hollywood Brown. So even when he came back, he's hurt or still recovering from an ACL injury and really did not have receiving options. I think things are way better this year for him.
Yeah. Anything else to wrap up the Arizona Cardinals?
Nah.
Yeah, to the 3 Arizona Cardinals fans, congrats on getting Marvin.
I would have liked him.
I would have liked him too. Moving on to those Seattle Seahawks. We forgot our call to the altar in the last video. But we will do it this video.
Okay.
Seattle Seahawks, new coaches. Who dis?
Yeah, new coaches. I pulled up their results from last year. We're starting to talk about, hey, what happened last year? How did it happen? Is it repeatable? What should you know that's changed? This was a 9-win team that fired their head coach. You don't see that a lot.
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I have something to Google while you're talking.
Are you looking up when Lovie Smith got fired?
No, I was looking up how old Pete Carroll is because it surprises me every single time.
It's like 95 years old.
Yeah. Do you want to take an actual guess of how old Pete Carroll is?
74 is my real
72,
guess.
actually.
Okay.
Which 74 was higher, but 72 is still. What's the national average? Go ahead, Gary.
Of people?
Yeah, of people.
I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, keep talking.
Yes. So this was a 9-win team. They were okay in a very hard division as well. Let's go over some of their other stats, though. Let me make sure this is right. Actually, do you want to make sure they're I don't even know that it matters a ton looking at last year's stats.
Their passing was very bad.
Their passing was very bad. I have it listed as 31st in passing yards, which is why I'm saying let's double check that because I don't remember them being that bad. So they're bringing in a new head coach to replace Pete Carroll. It's Mike McDonald coming over from the Ravens where he was defensive coordinator. Offensive coordinator comes over from Washington College, not the commies. So I don't know how I feel about college offensive coordinators coming into the NFL. With that said, this offense that he coached in Washington produced a lot of NFL players. So we're talking like Michael Penix, Roma Dunze, Troy Fontenot. I'm going to butcher his name. He's a first-round offensive lineman. Jalen Polk at wide receiver. Their offense was stacked.
Yeah.
But it's a college offense, so I don't know how to project that going forward. And as we talk through the rest of this team, we'll kind of eventually get to what I typically do with a situation like this where I don't know what the offensive coordinator is, just kind of move everybody back to the median.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you find their stats?
This says 15 is what I'm getting for passing yards. So we'll have to double check that. But all in all, who cares? I had Geno Smith on my team the whole year. Every time I needed him to perform, he did not. He had DK Metcalf. He had Tyler Lockett. We'll get all there in a minute.
Yeah.
So talk about the O-line. As you said, very hurt.
Yes. So they have 2 young tackles that are very good players that were both hurt for significant parts of the year. So when I look at the offensive stats, I do kind of throw some of that away. If you don't have good tackles on either side, it's going to be hard to throw the ball. It's going to be hard to run the ball. It's going to be hard to do much of anything. So we are going to, just in general, if they're last in passing yards, we're going to bump them back up towards the middle. With Geno Smith, though, he's ranked quarterback 23. For me, he's just another Derek Carr. When we talked about the Saints, I said he's the definition of fine. Mm-hmm. He's probably a placeholder guy for the Seahawks. I think the interesting stat that I bring up when I talk about Geno is he's the only guy getting paid in the 20s of millions. Like if you're not a great quarterback, you just don't get paid at all. You get paid $10 million like Gardner Minshew or whatever he's making.
Yeah.
Geno, I guess, is a little bit better than Gardner Minshew, but he's not someone that I'm expecting to lead this team to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, this definitely feels like a layover kind of year where you do have new head coach, new offensive coordinator, hang out with this guy for a year, and then hope that you can get somebody better.
Yeah.
Like, granted, they're not the ones that paid Geno, but you know what I mean. This feels like it's going to be a sort of transition.
I didn't check if they swapped out GMs, so it might still be the GM that paid Geno. But even then, it's not move on from Geno because he's horrible. It's move on because you think you have a better opportunity.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's that disrespectful to say they might next year find themselves getting a better opportunity than Geno Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to that running back room, Kenneth Walker III is the first one that comes to mind for me. He is currently ranked at 16 on that ECR.
All of these ranks are half-point PPR. I don't think we've said yet.
Yeah.
It's just a good thing to say.
And is this correct? He was ranked 19th in his 15 games?
Yes. With 15 games played last year, he was 19th in half-point reception is what I found today.
Yeah.
So Kenneth Walker, he's going into his third year. He's a round 2 pick, which I mentioned because Zach Charbonnet is going into his second year. Also was a round 2 pick. Ken Walker didn't play a ton in his rookie year. Pete Carroll, both known for playing the best guy, per se, not always sticking to draft value, but with running backs kind of having these guys earn their way up. So Zach Charbonnet not playing a ton last year kind of does fit that. Ken Walker having a slow start his first year somewhat fits that. We are now going into a year where neither guy is a rookie, and it's a completely new coaching staff.
Yeah.
We've seen Ken Walker prove it, and Charbonnet has been okay. Yeah. There's still growth there there's still potential. Like, we don't totally know what Zach Charbonnet is as much as we think we do with Ken Walker. But at 16 and 41, like I was talking about before, I kind of just smush them a little bit closer together or just bring up Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah. Yeah, this definitely could go either way. It could be a two running back sort of situation. I don't know. This feels
could be 60-40, 65-35.
Exactly. I've been a huge fan of Kenneth Walker III. I will always call him Kenneth. I don't know why you call him Kenneth. Freaks me out. But Kenneth, I've been a big fan for a couple of years now, and I'm hoping that he gets that top spot because you've seen him prove that. But, like you said, offensive coordinator.
He's a home run hitter running back. He will take negative rushes because he's trying to pull back and then hit a big run. So as the coaching staff changes, do they see that as something they don't really want to be part of their offense, and maybe they lean on Charbonnet? I don't know. We're not really going to even get a clear sign of that through training camp. The thing that I would just look for is who's getting negative press about them. Coaches are always going to be willing to say something nice about a guy that they feel fine about. But if you're hearing stories saying like, hey, Ken Walker is not getting as many rushes as Charbonnet, that I might listen to, or that Charbonnet might be a third string guy for some reason. I don't expect that to happen, but I'm looking for stories like that to try to gauge how I want to stat out this team for projections.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the wide receiver room. I'm a big fan of this wide receiver room, obviously, as a lot of people are. But you have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, who is your old road dog that knows how to catch the ball and get down. Jackson Smith and Jigba, who this is his second year, is that correct?
Yeah.
This is I'm a big fan of this wide receiver room, which I think tells even more about that offensive line last year because you've seen Geno do pretty well with these guys.
Yeah, there's 3 great players here. I feel confident that DK Metcalf is the lead guy, but when it comes to wide receiver 2 and 3 and who's lining up where and how they want to run this offense, I don't know what's going to happen. So the consensus ranks kind of lined up with that, where DK Metcalf is ranked as wide receiver 20 in half-point reception, And Lockett and Smith and Jigba are 45 and 42. Generally interchangeable wide receiver fours. One of them is going to be better than that ranking. And it's really just, we don't know how these targets are going to shake out. I expect this offense to have enough players to produce such that at least two guys are valuable. I just don't know who that second receiver is.
Yeah. Yeah, my gut says that Njigba is going to have an upstart of a year. You know, you have a new coaching staff, as we've said 45 times now. But we've seen him do really, really well. We've seen him hit some big plays, both in college and last year. He got a couple of them. If I remember correctly, there was a quote of him talking about how the previous head coach didn't really go to him a lot. I'm not sure if that's anything. But, you know, he's a rookie wide receiver on what is honestly technically a pretty stacked wide receiver room. So I would say Njigba is going to have a jump this year because I think Lockett getting even older, like he can still get out there and get the ball and get down, like I said. But I'm looking forward to watching Njigba. That's literally what he does.
I do like his highlight reels.
Yeah, his highlight reels are phenomenal. You just see him catch it right in the middle of the field and then fall down and just curl into a ball.
If you've caught the ball, pretend you're on fire. Just get down and roll. Yeah, but either one of these guys, like Smith, Lockett at 45, I could see falling off more. Smith and Jigba at 42, I would be really surprised if he didn't beat that by quite a bit and have multiple top 24 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Njigba. I don't know if he's going to be like a value sort of thing. I would think that maybe
I think that's what we're saying.
I think that's what I'm getting at. I will always love Lockett until he retires as a bye week guy for sure.
Yeah, he's been a perennially underrated guy. He's like the classic wide receiver 36 at draft, 16 at the end of the year, and you just don't really even realize it.
I remember when trying to float a ridiculous trade to you, I believe the stat was he's in the top 5 of most open wide receivers last season.
Yeah, he's still very good.
Yeah, he's good. He's getting it done. Tight end position, Noah Fant.
I don't care.
Who the hell is that? Nobody cares. Shut up,
Who
Noah.
is he? He came over in the Russell Wilson trade from Denver. He has a little bit of draft pedigree. He has not spiked to be a notable fantasy tight end. He may be a good NFL player. I'm talking about him too much. This episode is already quite long. Let's go prize pigs.
The most important thing, I hope he has a sister named Ellie. Who's your prize pig on this team?
I don't even want to understand that joke. Prize pig?
Ellie Fant.
I don't. No one here jumps out as a huge prize pig.
No.
Because we just don't know how this offense is going to shake out.
Yeah, I guess the closest might be a DK Metcalf, but if he's ranked at 20, then you got time to wait.
Yeah, I mean, he could. DK Metcalf is someone that was thought to become that top 10 elite guy, and it just kind of fell off a bit with Geno. It's still Geno here. He still has that upside. I'm not going to pay for that sort of upside. I'm not seeing a prize pig on this team, are you?
No, I'm not. Who's your blue-collar hog?
My road dog every day. I mean, it's been Tyler Lockett for the past couple of years. He still feels like that. Yeah.
You think Njigba could be in? I mean, he's ranked 42 and Lockett's 45. I think you could pretty easily say Njigba, but I don't know. He's got a lot of hype around him.
That's what I'm feeling. He was the first wide receiver drafted last year. Does he fit that workman hog, like blue collar hog kind of profile? Maybe in a year or two after some of that hype falls off, but yeah.
Yeah. I could easily see myself not touching anybody on this team with a 10-foot pole.
Right now, it'll feel that way. We just got to wait until August to have a better idea of what the hell they're going to do.
Now is our call to the altar. You can be our first subscriber.
You could be number one.
You can do it. You can be number one. We'll name our next video after you.
Number one, we will name every single video after you. We will rename the channel to your first name.
Your social security number and your address.
Mm-hmm.
Be our first subscriber.
Be number one.
We're going to be a really helpful podcast in about 6 months. Just think about it.
I hope so.
Just think about it. Moving on. The Los Angeles Rams.
They are excellent. And I think these next two teams are going to go by very quick because there's not a ton changing here on the Rams. This was a 10-7 win team last year, second place in the division, 11th in rushing, 10th in passing, 8th in points. Great offense overall. Same head coach coming back, Sean McVay. Same offensive coordinator, I think. The Rams and the 49ers that we're about to cover, it's hard to completely track.
Yeah.
I don't think the 49ers even list an offensive coordinator. We're not talking about them. We're talking about the Rams. I don't think it would even matter.
No. The O-line.
Yeah, O-line. They're losing a couple players. They were very good last year. They've signed enough guys to keep them good that I don't expect them to take a step back here based on their O-line.
Completely agree. Let's jump into the QB. Matt Stafford, ranked 15 in 15 games last year, currently ranked ECR at 19.
Yes, played 15 games, finished as QB 15. It's just always undervalued.
Yeah.
In a one quarterback league, I'm probably not going to end up with him a lot of times because I'd probably put him as like QB 15, 14-ish. He's even if there's that many guys that are good ahead of him, his production is in other years top 13, 14. There's just more quarterbacks this year. He's really good. He's undervalued in a 2 QB league at QB 19. Thinking back to last year, covering some of the stuff that happened in 2023 and how we expect that to be different and change for 2024. Puka Nacua was a rookie. Cooper Kupp was hurt. Van Jefferson was on this team getting a lot of snaps, and they decided to trade him away mid-year. That's not something you see happen a lot with playoff teams, where they just take an offensive option and say, like, no, we don't need you. We can do this without you. We'll trade you away for, I assume it was a pick.
Yeah.
But
the wide receiver,
go ahead.
This man will sling the ball. My favorite game last season was saying, hey, let's watch Matt Stafford throw an interception, and then he did it. It happened 3 times, I think. Still gets a lot of fantasy points, though.
Gets a ton of fantasy points.
Very good quarterback.
I think in people's mind, he's dinged a little bit because he has been hurt. Last year he was good. The year before that, he had a hurt back. He's had a hurt back in Detroit. He's not as old as you think. He's very good. If you're in a deeper league, he's better than QB 19.
Yeah, this man is an absolute dog. Moving on to the running back room, we have Kyren Williams, Blake Corum. Kyren was ranked 6th in 12 games. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
In his 12 games, he was ranked 6th, or is that 6th all season?
Oh, yes. 6th all season, but he only played 12 games. He's a 5th-round player who's going into his 3rd year. He was hurt last year for 4 or 5 games. He was hurt the year before that. I don't love predicting injury, but 2 years in, consistent. 2 years of injury. Yeah. I'm not dinging him a ton for that. He's at expert consensus rank of 8th running back. I think some of that is a fear of Blake Corum coming up. Higher draft pedigree, fills a similar role, and this team can just run. I don't know that Kyren Williams is an amazing player. I think this is just a team that produces rushing stats. They've done it with great players like Todd Gurley. They've done it with players that never went on to any other team like Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, who was traded to the Vikings midseason last year and didn't really do anything there. They've signed players off the couch that nobody had on their practice squad and then had them come in and produce in playoff games. Like, they just have a good offensive scheme for rushing the ball. And I think that story is why people are afraid of Blake Corum coming in and usurping this role from Kyren Williams, who was a top running back option last year.
Yeah, I was looking at some Blake Corum stats. Obviously came from Michigan, which was a very run-heavy team, but he did average 19 runs per game. The man gets the ball a lot. He was healthy a lot. He seems like a real dog. Honestly, I don't know if I'll need to draft him because we don't have a really deep league on our hands. Maybe I will, but this is somebody I'm definitely going to be looking at a whole lot is Blake Corum.
Yeah, I can see that. Let me pull. I didn't even put his consensus ranking in here. I'll pull it up right now. He's consensus rank 42.
Wow.
He's one spot behind Charbonnet. I
He's
immediately actually
wow.
just play pick your pig here because Blake Corum 42, Charbonnet 41, Chase Brown 40, Jerome Ford of Cleveland at 39.
That's insane.
I think he's got upside over all of those guys.
I'd take him over Ezekiel Elliott, who's at 37.
Yeah.
Like
Tajay Spears 35. I'm not expecting him to come in week one and start knocking it out of the park. But if you're looking for a guy with upside, I'd pay the extra dollar in the auction for Blake Corum over anyone else in this range. Guys behind him like Chuba Hubbard, Antonio Gibson, Rico Dowdle, Kendre Miller, Tyler Algier. One of these things is not like the other. One of them has top 4 running back potential, and the other guys are Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, the two things, like you already said, this is a team that runs really well, and Kyron Williams has gotten injured consistently. I think that could be free real estate. Moving on to the wide receiver position, we got Puka Nacua, ECR 7, Cooper Kupp, ECR 22. How do you feel? All right, first of all, let's just get this out of the way. Prize pig is going to be Puka Nacua.
I can
do
see
you
it.
not agree with that? ECR 7 coming into his second year.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp, I guess the real
Kupp's
question.
that blue collar hog, though.
He hasn't been in the past. This could be his first year as a blue collar hawk.
That's true. He's not, he doesn't have star pedigree. I think he was a 3rd round player who then ascended to be a top 1, 2, 3 wide receiver. And now he's kind of on the back end of his career. He is getting older. He's ranked 22 right now, which feels too late. He still has the ceiling of someone who's also very old now, Devontae Adams. He's got upside.
Yeah.
If this offense can produce a great running back and 2 great receivers, we've seen the Rams do that. They just need the players. They've been drafting receivers that just weren't good, like Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, guys that couldn't fill that role. But with Nacua, Kupp, and then some combination of Williams, Corum, and Stafford throwing the ball, they've got a good enough line. They can move up from, I think they were 8, 9, and 10 in their stats. I could see them moving higher.
Yeah, easily. I think it's wild to see Cooper Kupp at 22 right now.
Yeah.
Just because I know in my what I would like to call dummy leagues of ding dongs, Cooper Kupp is always way, way, way up there at the top in being drafted. However, kind of a rough year. Totally get it. Whatever. Moving on to that tight end position, Tyler Higbee.
Nothing. He's the name that gets drafted every year. I wouldn't be surprised if he got drafted this year. He's expert consensus ranked 33. This offense doesn't do a ton with tight end for receiving.
Yeah. Who's your prize pig in this team?
We covered. I feel pretty good with where we went. Puka Nacua, prize pig. Cooper Kupp, blue collar hog.
I'd put Matt Stafford at a blue collar hog. He's that's a guy. Exactly. That man is an absolute fucking road dog, and he will do anything that he can to play. He could come out there with a fucking peg leg, and he would still want to play and get you some points.
His back broken?
Yeah, and then he broke his hand or something in Detroit and was like, I'm still going to go out there and do it. And he was just crying in pain basically as he was dropping dimes for a tutty. The guy fucking rules. Let's move on. The San Francisco 49ers.
Recap. This is going to be a fast recap.
Yes.
And we want to cover what was good last year, what was bad last year, what did you forget about last year, how does that affect this year? They were just fucking awesome. 3rd in rushing, 4th in passing, 3rd in points.
Just keep going down the line. You
Same head coach coming in. They don't have an OC really that I could find.
Head coach is too good.
The coaches are great. They are losing Clint Kubiak, who is now the OC for the Saints. That will be different, but this team has lost offensive coordinators before. Mike McDaniels was an offensive coach on this team, gone to Miami. I'm sure there's others to name.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter. They're not stopping because of they're losing this coach. Last year, offensive line, they were aging. They were still good. There's some cracks there. If this team does take a step backwards, I would think this is kind of where that happens on the offense.
Yeah. Moving on to the quarterback position, Brock Purdy, ranked 6th last year.
He was great.
Currently ranked ECR 11. I think what's so impressive about Purdy, ranked 6th, not a running quarterback. That just shows you how good the rest of the offense is.
It's a great offense. I think 11 is a great rank for him. Like I said at the top of the show, it's going to be a fast one. I think the ranks that the expert consensus ranks are pretty spot on with where I would put them. Brock Purdy, someone who was really efficient last year, got a lot of fantasy points and a lot of yardage for the amount of times they were throwing. That will come down. So when you hear people give analysis like Brock Purdy can't do what he did last year, I'm not paying for him to do what he did last year. I'm paying to finish 6th. I'm paying for him to finish 11th. And I think he can do that pretty easily.
Yeah. Running back room, Christian McCaffrey, ECR number 1.
He's number 1. Should be number 1 overall in any non-2 quarterback league. He's great. He's amazing. Yeah. He'll score 1 million touchdowns every single week. He'll run. He'll catch. Whatever your format, just draft him.
Yep. Elijah Mitchell, ECR 55.
I wrote him down as a true handcuff.
What does that even mean?
Well, I think that's what I was going to follow up and say. In past years, people would say, I'll draft my running back and I'll draft the guy behind him in case my guy gets hurt. That was a thing like 10, 15 years ago. It's kind of faded away some. Elijah Mitchell, if you are in a deeper league, like just grab him if you have CMC, or just grab him even if you don't. If Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, you're drafting a guy at rank 55 who would move into top 10 running back because we would expect all the production to go right to him. And it's just a really good offense for running. Like McCaffrey's amazing, but we've seen him do it with lesser guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to that wide receiver room, Deebo Samuel, ECR 15, Brandon Ayuk, ECR 10, this third guy.
Yep, there's 2 other guys there. Ricky Pearsall, first-round rookie. ECR 72, which I bring up because I have no idea what's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
News this week, Brandon Ayuk is saying the 49ers don't want him back. The 49ers will put people into kind of that metaphoric doghouse. Brandon Ayuk has been there. Brandon Ayuk has been very, very good with the 49ers, except for 1 year when the coaches just didn't really want to play him. I don't know what was going on with them butting heads or anything. He just wasn't getting played. But I'm not questioning it, but there's a year where he just wasn't out there. And now he's unhappy. Is this another year where he's just not out there? They have options for other guys to come in. Ricky Pearsall could take targets. Deebo could step up. The offense could flow through George Kittle. All of that is just saying, like, I don't love drafting any of these guys right now in June.
Yeah. A lot is up in the air in this wide receiver room right here. You know Brandon Ayuk is good or has been good with Purdy. You know Deebo Samuel is a very good player as well. Just wait a couple months and then you'll feel a lot better.
Yes, I'm probably not drafting any of these receivers unless it's like September. And I have an idea of, has anyone been traded? What's going on? Is their contract situation sorted out? I would draft Kittle higher right now based on not knowing what's going on with the wide receivers.
Yeah, definitely. And jumping into that tight end position, George Kittle.
Yeah, I think he's like consensus rank 5. He's really good.
Yeah, it's very good.
If anybody gets hurt on this offense that does narrow the amount of players that are getting production, and that helps out George Kittle. But with as many guys on this team catching the ball, scoring, there are times where players can disappear, and that can happen to George Kittle, unfortunately.
Yeah. Prize pig here. It's pretty easy. It's Christian McCaffrey.
It's
He's on the
CMC.
front of Madden. Come on.
CMC.
If you're not betting every single week that CMC gets 2 touchdowns, you're just losing money.
Just a coward.
Yeah. Who's your blue collar hog on this team?
My working man's hog. I gotta go Brock Purdy. He's got a blue collar
Okay.
name. He's out there just getting pretty solid production every week, week in, week out. Not totally a star at this position. I think you get good value out of him.
Yeah. Anything else to say about the Niners? They've been good. They're gonna be good.
They're gonna be good.
They're gonna be good.
They're
It's
gonna be
fine.
good. I would be
Don't
really
even think about
surprised
it.
if they were not good. And I
You
want,
would need like 6 major offensive players to get injuries for this team to not be good.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah. It's a good team.
Great team.
Anything about this division as a whole here? We got the Cardinals, Hawks, Seahawks, Rams, Niners.
I would pick the Cardinals to jump up a lot of spots, but I just don't see who
Yeah.
they're passing. Like Seattle,
I
I
could-
could see
yeah.
Seattle falling. I would not be surprised if changing head coaches didn't work for them.
Yeah. Especially at first, gives them the possibility to get a higher draft pick kind of thing. Not that, teams really, dump a season like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the Cardinals are going to look really good. I think they're going to have a lot of close games. But like you said, maybe they leap the Seahawks. I don't see them leaping the Rams. Definitely won't leap the 49ers.
No, I don't see it.
Yeah. The Seahawks are boring. I'm sorry, Seattle fans. DK Metcalf looks cool, but
He's so
you're just like,
cool.
what's going on?
He's
yeah.
so ripped.
Yeah, he is very jacked, and he runs like 400 miles an
I
hour.
bet he could punch
Um,
straight through me.
Oh, yeah. I would pay to see it, too.
I would too. Just punch right up like one of those cartoon holes right
Yeah,
in my
what-
chest.
What I think would be great is you would get punched through, then you would just see Tyler Lockett in the background just dropping to the
Just
floor.
falling
like
down.
like a possum. Yeah.
I can see that.
Here's our call to the altar, gang. You can be our first subscriber.
You could
Somebody's
be
out there
number one.
just really ripping up in 30-second increments that Kansas City Chiefs
They love it. Paul,
video.
Paul Rudd, I know it's
Paul.
you.
Paul
I see you,
Rudd.
Paul.
We appreciate the efforts, but just subscribe, Paul.
Hit subscribe.
Yeah, it's not hard to pity a person and push one button.
No,
That's all I'm going to say.
you don't even have to stay subscribed, really. Just leave
Yeah,
it for
just
a
wait.
day so I see it.
Yeah, or pass the baton to somebody else. I think, like, if Paul Rudd could pass it to that other guy in,
That's right.
what was The Best Man? What was the name of that movie? He's the guy that did the drums.
Yeah. Jason Segel?
Jason Segel. There we go. Yeah, if you could just get Jason Segel, just take it over for you
Yeah.
afterwards. I don't even think he probably uses YouTube a lot.
I'm going to see if there's
But-
an option in YouTube to cap it. We set our goal of 1 subscriber and then just stop. And then I
Yeah.
want in the comments people asking, can I be the 1 subscriber? And then you guys can hand it off to each other.
Yeah, that's actually great. That's a real community effort.
That's a
for
good
sure.
idea.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal idea.
I should
Well-
run YouTube.
Yeah, I'll talk to my uncle, Franklin, YouTube. That's
Close
a
it up.
throwback joke that nobody will get.
Close it
Yeah,
up.
thank you for watching
You're
Porklip
welcome.
Certified. We know you haven't. Come be our first subscriber. And as we always say here on Porklip
Every
Certified,
time.
every single time.
Except for-
Fantasy on.
That's the end.
Wow, you stopped that one so fast.